Welcome back to Good Morning Nigeria. Now, kidnapping is a global issue that many parts of the world have been dealing with for many years. But here in Nigeria, it seems to be a problem we've been facing for decades. Why? Well, we're joined by a security expert to try and tackle this issue. His name is Prince Henry Osuagwu, who's going to help us tackle this. And we also would love your help on this issue as well. So if you have any contribution, we have the numbers that will be appearing on the screen shortly. So you can call 012778196, 012772196, and 012777196. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Eno, for having me.
Thank you. So we're talking about kidnapping, and for me, as long as I can remember growing up, though I didn't grow up in Nigeria, I was always told about this issue of kidnapping, of if you go, they'll steal you. We say it in jokes, but it's something we see regularly in the newspapers as well. So I just want to begin with to try and understand kidnapping. Is this a problem? Is it getting worse, or is this just a problem that we've had for so long that is still not being dealt with? Yes.
Really, when we want to look at the process, first of all, we have to look at the root cause of kidnapping. And over the years, it has been on the increase. Let's get it straight.
So it is actually increasing?
Yes, it has been on the increase.
Some people feel, it's not as bad as it used to be, but we always wonder when we're going through our newspapers, is it just that the media are not reporting on it, or is it actually going? So you're saying it's getting worse?
Yes, it's on the increase. It's the one you are privileged to know that you bring to the notice of the citizen. But some of the kidnap that has been happening over the years, some of them are not properly reported.
Okay.
So when we want to look at kidnap, we have to look at the root cause. The first is corruption. I'm going to link it.
Okay.
And you have the second, as I've always said it and I keep saying it, that Nigeria is under-policed.
Okay.
Then thirdly, if we want to now look at, we have two kinds of kidnap. What we have seen of late is not re-kidnap in its sense. Because in every kidnap, you have ransom to be paid. Mm-hmm. That is the primary objective. We now have economic kidnappers. Then we have to also check the root cause. When you come to terrorism, I heard you saying something. The source of funding terrorist group, one of the factors where they generate their funds is through kidnap, robbery, and other vices. Now, when you look at our society today, you begin to see the level of corruption. If you want to take the diagram of corruption, first is poverty / insecurity. It leads to greed. And greed leads to corruption. Corruption leads to more greed. And the effect is poverty.
Okay.
I mean, thank you so much for, highlighting those issues, because I was going to actually say that the first thing that people think about when you talk about kidnapping, or the motive for kidnapping, is money. So the financial gain, like you mentioned, usually with a kidnap, there's always a call for ransom. But we have seen cases, like in terrorism, where it's used as a weapon or probably negotiation, where the ransom is not financial. For instance, let's look at the Chibok girls. It was a big scale of kidnapping, whether we like it or not. Yes, we have different terms. We have abduction. We have that they're being taken away. But what do you do in an instance whereby there's been a kidnapping incident, but it doesn't seem like they want anything seemingly, because it's over a year they've been gone, and there hasn't been sort of what the kidnappers want in return for the girls? Is this a new type of kidnapping? Is this different? And what could be their reason for doing this?
Thank you. I like the way you asked your question. Like the question you throw across now, you're talking about they not making any demand yet.
Over 1 year.
Over 1 year.
Yes.
there is what we call you keep your main dice. You hold it. When the time for negotiation comes, you might bring it out. There is no time, because I've seen where people are kidnapped for 7 years in the Western world.
Yes.
At a particular time, they now release those people when they want to get their own people. But that's not the situation we have in Nigeria presently.
All right.
I'm talking about economic kidnappers.
Okay.
Whereby, just as I earlier tried to illustrate to you, by the time that poverty, that is the effect, the cause, is poverty stroke insecurity, and the effect is still poverty, this now leads us down, where you begin to have kidnapping, robbery, prostitutions, and the rest of it, because people want to make ends meet.
Well, let's look at, so now that, the fact that we can, well, we'll go into a question, I'll go into my question after, because we have a phone caller, Ephraim from Delta State. Good morning. Okay, we've lost him. Hopefully, Ephraim, please do call back again. Now that we can look at you're looking at some of the root causes of kidnapping, the different types of kidnappers that we have as well. So now the fact that we can identify the root, what next?
Yeah, no,
what happens? Who steps in? What does the government do? How do we put an end to this?
Really, when we come now down to security, we want to checkmate, we want to provide, we want to mitigate. All security formation around the world revolves around what we call the 4 cardinal points of security.
The 4 cardinal
The 4
points.
cardinal points of security,
Okay.
which implies vigilancy, alertness, good public relations, and discipline, from whatever perspective you want to look at it from. Sometimes there's a disconnect within our security agents. They might be vigilant,
Yes.
they are not at alert.
What's the difference, though? Because
Yes, vigilance is watchfulness.
All right.
While alertness is being sensitive to what is happening around you.
All right.
Ready.
Okay.
So we have to understand the difference.
All right.
So at most time, you see our security agents, they are at alert, they might be vigilant, they lack discipline. There's a disconnect, then there's a breach in the security. So that is one area. So the 4 components must work together for us to have an efficient and effective security. Now, you asked about how are we going to now,
What's the
way forward?
Yes, way
The
forward.
first people that is saddled with the responsibility of protecting you and I is the Nigerian police.
Okay.
Remember, I earlier highlighted that we are under-policed.
Yeah.
And to make it more clear for the authorities there to know, is that we are well over 200 million Nigerians, but we don't have up to 2 million policemen.
In an ideal situation, in terms of a ratio, so maybe, for instance, in a classroom, they can say 1 teacher to 5 students or 1 teacher to 20 students. In an ideal situation, 1 policeman should be responsible for how many numbers of people?
I might not be very correct, but if we want to go through the United Nations standards, it should be 7.
So 1 policeman.
I'm coming to that. Yes, people. To 7.
Wow, and we have 20 over.
We have 200 million Nigerians,
yes.
and we don't have up to 2 million policemen.
We don't have 10%.
So you can see the situation where the insecurity we are talking about is, we have to look at it. We have to look at it in depth.
Okay.
Wow. Another thing that sometimes doesn't get included into the discourse when we're talking about kidnapping is the issue of trafficking. And recently we saw, I know we took a story within our newspaper of a Dubai syndicate of women that had, were in essence kidnapping young women in order to, sell them on as sex slaves. And we did see, fortunately, the suspects responsible are actually behind bars right now. But do you think that is the topic of kidnapping already too big to include trafficking within it? Because I just felt, how can we talk about this topic without bringing up the issue of child trafficking, of trafficking in general, which is also a problem that we've had in the country for a very, very long time?
Really, it all boils down to what I'm trying to say here. I said kidnapping we have two kinds of kidnapping. I said you have those ones for economic reason. Trafficking somebody for sex is for economic reason. It's not because the person is going for a party. So it boils down to the same thing we are talking about here. So, like now, if we want to address it, we want to look at it. One, the Nigerian police is ill-equipped. They are quite ill-equipped. You have to now see how you bring in technology. Look at, we have two kinds of surveillance here, static surveillance and mobile surveillance. The policeman is running up and down on the street with guns. Does that gather intelligence?
Oh, so let me just interrupt you. We'll come back quickly for another 5 minutes after News Express so we can have people calling in that might have some questions. So let's head over to our final news bulletin of the day. Welcome back to Good Morning Nigeria. It is still our top story time, and we've been looking at the issue of kidnapping in the country, and we're joined by a security expert, Prince Henry Osuagwu, who has been helping us break down this, what seems to be something that just doesn't seem to be disappearing. So we're going to have the numbers shortly on the screen so you can join in on the conversation. Just 5 minutes of his time we can steal. So get your questions and comments in as quick as you can. Now, before News Express, we were discussing, looking at what's the next step? How can we actually begin talking about kidnapping as a thing of the past, or perhaps just on the decrease instead of on the increase? We've touched upon policing. Is there anything else aside from policing that needs to be in place to see this decline? Yes.
First, the traditional policing that we've been practicing needs to be changed to face the reality on ground.
Okay.
I've been one of those that has always been advocating for state police and community policing. Yes, we just have to face the reality. There is something we call, when it comes to community policing, we say not in my backyard.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. That means everybody is a security operative that is liaising with the necessary police authority.
Now, just to call you out on, just to talk a little bit about the community policing in Nigeria, for instance, where we have unfortunate incidences of, the word is skipping my mind now, jungle justice, whereby you find a thief and before he even has the opportunity to be tried, they put a tie around his neck and they burn him. Now, some people have argued that that's the reason why we probably should not have community policing in Nigeria at the moment. What's your take on that? Do you think that can be contained if we make it a responsibility for people to watch over their communities?
No, not really. Some people don't really get the perspective of the benefits that is inherent in community policing.
Okay.
You can never compare the benefits of community policing to the traditional police we have.
Okay.
And secondly, that is one of the areas that we have to look at. It's very, very important. Let's stop playing to the gallery. The Nigeria of 1960 is not the Nigeria of today. We all know this. We have to change with time.
All right.
So secondly,
can we just hold you? We have a caller. We'll get back to the second point. Tajudeen from
Bauchi State.
Bauchi State.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Okay, we're talking about kidnapping. Do you have a question or a comment to help us with the topic?
Yes. It's just that the problem we have in this country is that our government have neglected the security agency one way or the other. Yeah, what I mean is that every strong nation today. Now?
Tajudeen, so 1 second, could you kindly turn down your the volume of your TV set so that we can hear you clearer as you're speaking?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've done that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, please.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that the government has neglected the security agency. If you watch every strong nation of this country, every strong nation today, they are strong because their security is strong. If your security is proper, well care of, in terms of intelligence gathering, equipment, technology whatsoever, you will see that the country will move forward. But in Nigeria, per se, they take security as don't mind them, give them whatever, they will do the work, but they are not looking into that's the issue of this kidnapping, whatever. If you talk of the security of the thing, one, if they can take care of the security agency, in the other way around, they have to do the proper thing that what is called all this kidnapping of everything, they have to put it in order. The young men, no work. What do they call it? The students, NYSC, after they're graduating, we have a lot of youth outside there. They have nothing to do. How these things cause problems into this country? And the security also has to be looking into, we have police. Police have a serious work to do. In a policing, they have to put a very serious interest on police. Training, equipment, and welfare. Because if you train somebody, you give him equipment and you do not take care of him, you don't expect he will not do the work the way he's supposed to. You have to look into their matter, take care of them, equip them, and other security agencies like paramilitary, like civil defense, and so on. All these people, they have to put interest on them, spend money on them, look into them, take care of them, in fact, a lot of things like that. That is why we are failing the country.
Thank you
very much for your comment,
Yeah.
Tajuddin. Clearly, we can see with how passionate the caller was that he doesn't believe that insecurity is being held up as highly, perhaps, as, these are my words, we often see corruption. Yes, our president is coming in to fight corruption. Though you've linked corruption to the insecurity in a way, but would you agree with the caller that perhaps our new current government is not taking our issue of insecurity, as importantly as they should?
I don't think that we agree with him.
Okay.
We just have the first quota into a new government.
Okay.
And I believe that His Excellency is the listening type. And he's really working in the area of security. Let's keep that for now. He's on top of his game. The only place we have issues is just like what we are talking about before he called in. We are trying to look at the solutions.
I mean, he touched on the police.
Yes. I've always also said that the police needs to be well motivated. I've said that on Crossfire in this program.
Okay.
So what we are looking at now, we have to look at, like when he said that they need to be equipped, what kind of equipment is the government looking at? Because when we talk about vigilancy and alertness, it's a function of observation.
Well, he mentioned equipment that doesn't even work. So for starters, they need equipment that will work.
Yes, we need to. The government need to consult with security consultants. Sometimes you are buying the wrong equipment. You spend money buying the wrong thing. They need to go and consult their consultants.
All right. So just in case they're not doing that, because I mean that's a bit difficult to grasp. That if you're the government, you would not seek advice before buying certain equipment. But because our time is far spent, I'd like to just ask: whilst you're waiting for there to be a solution to the issues of kidnapping, what are safety measures that citizens, if any, can take to prevent prevent themselves from being victims of kidnapping?
People need to take security of themselves as a personal thing, just as you do your makeup. If you can take time to make up yourself, you should be able to take time to make sure you don't go to the wrong places at the right time.
Okay.
You should avoid walking alone at night. You should avoid talking anyhow in the public.
That's a very key one.
You understand?
Yeah.
So sometimes people give themselves away. There is something we call social engineering. There is something we call social engineering. Somebody just come, you don't know the person, you start giving up all information.
Or you're on the phone and you're speaking really loud. Okay, I'm going to be at...
So those are
transfer the money.
So we just have to mind the way we talk. But however, there is something I want to really put clear here also. We in the area of our intelligence gathering, Everybody comes on air, we say intelligence gathering, intelligence gathering. Yes, fine. We have to have a centralized intelligence unit.
Very important.
A centralized intelligence unit is very key. What we have seen in the area of intelligence is the DSS is trying to outplay the police are trying to outplay the civil defense is trying to outplay the army is trying to outplay the navy. It doesn't work that way.
Okay,
right.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a topic that, it can continue. Get onto Twitter at GMNS Cool TV, facebook.com/GMNS Cool TV. We will look at your comments and review them as you send them in. We're going to go on a quick timeout. Thank you very much once again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Still lots more on the show, so do not go anywhere. Honourable Bash is in the building. Let's see what he has to say about kidnapping.
So, did you like what you just saw? I know you did. It's very simple. If you want to see more, just subscribe to our channel right now.